Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
It's 6:37. It's O'Connor and Company this Thursday morning, 5th day of June. We are plowing through a very busy day here as we, I don't know, whose side are you on, the CBO or the OMB? Or NPR? Or PBS? IDK? OMG? Hey, Cassie Smedley. Sorry, it's just that DC initial talk. I'm good at it now.
LOL. That was very good.
Thank you very much. Coming up at 7:05, Representative Brandon Gill will join us. 8:05, KT McFarland. And then at 8:35, Curtis Leggett. He's with NBA. That's the National Association. NAB, excuse me. NBA would be, he would be working on his jump shot if it were NBA. National Association of Broadcasters. Talk about trying to free up some ownership issues here for broadcasters so we can, compete with NPR. That's all coming up. And Cassie, thanks for being with us this Thursday morning. Cassie Smedley with us all day. Gary Katz joins us right now. There's some rising concerns here about the type of rhetoric we're hearing from the Loudoun County Board of Supervisors, especially in conjunction with some recent high-profile anti-Semitic terrorist attacks that we've seen in this country. And I think it's worth pointing this out and letting the elected officials know in Loudoun County that this kind of thing won't be tolerated. It certainly shouldn't be. Gary Katz, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Larry and Cassie.
So it looks like this is Julie Briskman. Julie Briskman, by the way, for those who don't remember, her main claim to fame here is that during the first Trump administration, the presidential limousine motorcade was going by to get to his golf club, and she was riding a bike and gave the president's limousine the finger. And, of course, if you're a Democrat, that means you're perfectly qualified, if not ideal, for running for public office, which is what she did. And she's now the supervisor of Loudoun County Board of Supervisors. And apparently her rhetoric is what started this concern out in Loudoun County. Wait, tell us the origin story here.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, Julie Briskman absolutely set Loudoun County on fire with respect to anti-Semitic rhetoric. She released a press release on county letterhead that was both factually incorrect and vehemently anti-Semitic back in, I think it was April of 2024. About 7 months into the Israel-Gaza war. That press release resulted in a meeting having to take place with Phyllis Randall and Julie Briskman and a group of 6 rabbis in the area to correct the information that was in there, the blood libels that were stated, the factually incorrect information that was there. And we were hoping for a retraction from Julie Briskman, and if not from Julie Briskman, then from Phyllis Randall on her behalf, because that never should have been put on county letterhead. It's not the purview of the Board of Supervisors, and it was wrong to do. She did it as a political stunt for her own agenda. And as a result, ever since then, we've been seeing Loudoun County public comment sessions populated by anti-Israel, really anti-Jewish, arguably pro-terror speakers who are using the platform to rhetorically lynch Israel and Jews in order to propagate anti-Semitism throughout the county, as well as attempts to institutionalize it into county policy via divestment, whether it's through overt measures such as resolutions or and things like that, or whether it is simply from a bullying perspective to say, hey, we're going to be here every time, and if Israel pops up in any way, shape, or form, you're going to be hearing from the anti-Semitic mob.
And
so
by the way,
that's
for
what's been
people
going
who are,
on.
I just want you need to explain that this is exactly 8, 9, 10 years. Everyone says, "Oh, how did this happen at Yale? How did this happen at Harvard? How did this happen at Columbia?" This is how it happened. About 8, 9, 10 years ago, the divestment movement, we calling Israel an apartheid state, and all of the ugly rhetoric that led to exactly what we're seeing right now. And this is exactly what the Loudoun County Board of, at least the Democrats on the Loudoun County Board of Supervisors, are festering and encouraging at their public meetings, utilizing county letterhead. Gary Katz, how is that even possible or legal? That's it, making a political statement like that on behalf of the people of Loudoun County.
It was wrong. It was abhorrent. It never should have happened, and it should have been corrected. And it wasn't. They just let it slide. And why?
And now they've festered this. Are there big donors going on? I mean, this sounds like they're looking for, running for higher office. So you got to solidify that anti-Israel, anti-Semitic base if you're going to raise money.
It does seem that way. We do suspect that there were intentions there in order to signal to certain groups for those who may want to run for higher office, which is why they didn't pull it back. But that's all speculative. I don't know that, but that does seem like the logical conclusion.
We're speaking with Gary Katz, who's calling out this outrageous behavior from the Loudoun County Board of Supervisors. Maybe I missed something. Is it part of the charter of the Loudoun County Board of Supervisors that they're supposed to have some kind of foreign policy stance? Are they engaged in some kind of diplomatic efforts or national security efforts with foreign nations? Last I checked, they're supposed to just focus on the business of Loudoun County.
I agree with that. In fact, I would submit even further that every time that the Loudoun County Board of Supervisors does something involving foreign entities, they get themselves in trouble, whether it's Israel or whether it's their lavish trips across the world on on taxpayer money. They should stay out of foreign affairs entirely, but they don't. They keep putting themselves in it, and then they put themselves in a spot where they absolutely do not rebuke this, with the exception of, and Larry, I give credit where it is due, regardless of party affiliation. One Democrat on that board, Kristen Umstattd, every single time rebukes the rhetoric. And at the meeting 2 nights ago, Caleb Kirshner and Matt Letourneau also called out the rhetoric. Because after what's been taking place across the country, we're now at the violence stage of globalized the Intifada. And this is what the Jewish community has been sounding the alarm on. The Holocaust did not happen overnight. It started with the rhetoric. Now we're at the point where the calls for free Palestine are the exact same calls that are being used prior to violence against Jews. We've seen that in D.C. with the murder of the 2 Israeli embassy employees. We saw it in Colorado where they were firebombed. Heck, Governor Shapiro in Pennsylvania had his home set ablaze during Passover. These are not unrelated things, and we need to call it out as it is, and we need to clamp down on it and put an end to this, because it's also a distraction. To your point, it's not just not county business, it's a disruption to constituents. People want to come in to talk about power lines, zoning, transportation. People don't even want to go to board meetings as much because they don't want to get into the middle of this mess from a group of activists who are attempting to attach their cause to any local issue. They've attacked the sheriff's office on this wrongly. They've attacked, on immigration issues. They've tried to tie Israel and the Jews to it. They've attacked data centers. They have attacked the defense contractors. Anything they think will stick, they try to use as a quote unquote plausible reason. But if you listen to the rhetoric inside of the boardroom, I mean, it's not just calls for BDS, for boycotts, divestment, and sanctions. I mean, we're having Jews called Zionist thugs, Zion Nazis. We're having Jews being followed to their cars, requiring armed escort from county security personnel to ensure that they get out of the government center safely while they're being called Zionist pigs. I mean, this is just beyond the pale. And you mentioned earlier, before I joined on, that I'm trying to shine a light on this. That's true. I'm also trying to hold up a mirror. They have a responsibility, and they need to see that their actions and inactions to clamp down on this are furthering this problem. And they cannot hide behind, quote unquote, First Amendment rights to excuse this. I will guarantee you that if a member of the Ku Klux Klan went in front of the Board of Supervisors and let's just say they didn't even use pejorative racist language, but they argued for segregated bathrooms, restaurants, water fountains to be put into policy, you bet this board would rebuke that as racism disguised as policy. This is even worse. It's not even disguised. It's overt anti-Semitic rhetoric, and it needs to be rebuked no differently than racist rhetoric against any other group.
Well said, Gary Katz. Couldn't say anything more to add to it. I'm glad you're out there. I'm glad for your I'm grateful for your activism. And you're right, holding a mirror up to their hatred. And I sure hope it changes. And if it doesn't change, I sure hope you run for office again so that you can make that change. Thank you, Gary. Great talking with you.
Thank you very much for the time. Have a good morning.